Santa Fe Fire and EMS, what's the location of the emergency?
Bonanza Creek Ranch has had 2 people accidentally shot on a movie set by a prop gun. We need help immediately. Okay. Bonanza Creek Ranch. Come on.
Stay on the phone with me. We're going to get some help, okay?
You would like to believe that there was extensive training to any actor or performer, any talent that was handling these weapons on set, but unfortunately that's just not the case.
Actor Alec Baldwin involved in a deadly shooting.
Sheriffs say that one person was killed and another was injured when Baldwin fired a
Prop gun that killed one person and injured another.
On October 21st, around 2 p.m. in the afternoon, Alec Baldwin was beginning to shoot a scene for the Western film Rust at a ranch in New Mexico, right around the Santa Fe area. When Baldwin took the gun, he apparently was not shooting a scene with another actor. He was just rehearsing solo at that point. In this case, the assistant director gave Baldwin the gun and called out cold gun, which would mean that it did not have any live rounds in it. Baldwin took the gun. Another safety protocol was missed. He should never have fired it in the direction of people. Baldwin pulled the gun from the holster, put it back in, pulled it out a second time, and the second time fired, and it struck Halyna Hutchinson and director Joel Souza. So shortly after their lunch break, right around 2 p.m., after the shot was fired, a medic immediately tried to stop the bleeding, and another woman on set called 911. Halyna Hutchinson was rushed to the hospital via helicopter. Joel Souza also went to a different hospital. Halyna Hutchinson was pronounced dead. Joel Souza was treated and released the next day. So 42-year-old Halyna Hutchinson was an up-and-coming cinematographer. She had been named one of 10 directors of photography to watch by American Cinematography magazine. She had a few art house, well-reviewed movies under her belt, so she was really just starting to come into her own as she was pursuing her career. Assistant director Dave Halls had a similar run-in in 2019. In that case, another gun, another misfire on another set.
The assistant director who gave Alec Baldwin the loaded prop gun was fired from the set of a different movie just 2 years ago after a prop gun there discharged and hurt a crew member.
We reached out to expert armorer Brian Carpenter. He's worked on a lot of weapons-heavy sets, including the TV show NCIS New Orleans and the film Jack Reacher Never Go Back.
An armorer's primary responsibility is the safe implementation of a firearm while being used on a movie, television, or film. Secondary to that would be to make sure that the actors and performers look the part while they're using it and they're using the firearm correctly. So one of the questions that's been asked a lot lately is what's the difference between a prop gun and a real gun? What a prop gun is, it's made out of plastic and or rubber, and sometimes very high-end replicas are utilized as well. They're brought onto set for close camera work. They look, feel, have the weight of, even sometimes have the mechanism that will turn similar to a real gun, but they're incapable of firing a blank. A real gun is simply what it sounds like. It's capable of firing a blank, and in the unfortunate scenario and case here that's happened in New Mexico, terrible tragedy that occurred, a live round got in there, and as such it was capable of firing it, and it did.
The armorer on this set, 24-year-old Halyna Gutierrez, she has not been working in the industry very long. This was only her second film, and she wasn't officially licensed by any sort of gun safety organization.
More often than not, you get just a few moments to go over what safe handling and proper procedure is. And that's when it comes down to having a very good armorer on set or a props master that's cross-trained as an armorer. Unfortunately, there's not a national vetting process for an armorer.
So Halyna Gutierrez has now put out a statement via her lawyers, and she's saying she has no idea where the live rounds on the set came from. She didn't know anything about any live rounds, and that she locked up the guns every night on the set.
If you don't know how the rounds got in that firearm, then who does? How did they get in there? They're on set. The weapon is on set. It has rounds in it. Someone put them there. Anytime anything changes, and when I say changes, anytime you leave them and come back, even if you know they're locked up, if it seems like you're checking it too much, check it again. So the next morning when I come out to the safe, I'll pull them out, I'll check them again, make sure that they're in the same condition I left them in. And then I'll load them into my bag if it's a small scene, or into a cart, and I prefer a locking cart. That cart is taken out onto set, and at that point in time it will sit there with either myself or someone I appoint that works with us that's a responsible party for these firearms as well, maintaining a visual, visually seeing them, being there with them, making sure no one's disturbing them. At that point in time, the next step from there is the scene's about to take place. And before that happens, it's a double verification process with a person of authority on set. You take the weapon out, you go up to set, and let's say in this particular case it's a revolver. You walk up to set, and either the first AD, the director, the key grip, the DP, and all of the actors, any cast that's going to be in and around these items or that item, will get an opportunity to look at it and let it be cleared. And you take a flashlight, you shine it up the barrel, you look down into the chamber or cylinder, make sure there's nothing in it and no obstructions in the barrel. When the sound speeds and when they're about to start rolling, you load the blank rounds into the cylinder of that weapon, you make it ready for the actor to take from you, hand off the weapon to them, and then you stand there and watch the entire situation like a hawk to make sure that it's done the way that it's supposed to be done.
So a lot of people are going to be asking, who's responsible for this? Baldwin, as an actor, was told he had a cold gun. A lot of people probably are saying at this point he can't be blamed for that when he was told there was no ammunition in the weapon. But some safety protocols weren't observed. The armor is supposed to show the actor that there's no bullets. Also, there's the fact that Alec Baldwin is the producer on this movie that apparently was very lax in its overall safety procedures. So that could become an issue.
I've said this 1,000 times. Safety is a shared responsibility. It's not just one thing. Everyone shares that responsibility.
There have been deaths on sets before, but in this case, it's so high profile. Someone with a name like Alec Baldwin being involved in the shooting, being the person who pulled the trigger.
She was my friend. She was my friend. I'm not allowed to comment on the investigation. I talk to the cops every day.
There's petitions now circulating to change the safety protocols on movie sets to not allow for any sort of real guns at all. I think we have to remember that this is a really, really rare kind of thing. The last time that I can think of that it happened was in 1993 with actor Brandon Lee and The Crow. In that case, an actor at close range shot what he thought was a blank, and it was, but there was a bullet fragment in that gun, and that's what killed Brandon Lee.
In all fairness to our industry, and I want to preface this by saying no loss of life is acceptable in any circumstance. However, over the thousands of movies and television shows filmed over the last 30 years, there's been 3 incidences that I know of, including this one, where someone was lost their life or was harmed in the use of a firearm on set. Having said that, I have pushed for a long time for industry-wide certification for armorers, so that any production knows what they're getting. They can look at a piece of paper and know this person's been vetted, they've had the proper safety training and the OTJ and knowledge to be able to do this. And also at the same time, minimum safety training and firearms training, and I mean not live fire, not actually going out to a gun range. I'm talking about just safety training for any talent or persons on a movie set that are going to be handling a real weapon. I don't think those 2 things are too much to ask.
Baldwin put out a statement saying that there are no words to convey my shock and sadness regarding the tragic accident that took the life of Halyna Hutchins. Wife, a mother, a deeply admired colleague of ours. I'm fully cooperating with the police investigation to address how this tragedy occurred, and I am in touch with her husband, offering my support to him and his family. My heart is broken for her, her husband, their son, and all who knew and loved Halyna. So at this point, this is a pretty wide-ranging investigation. The sheriff's office took something like 600 pieces of evidence off the set, including 500 rounds of ammunition. Now, some of those were dummy bullets, some were blanks, and they're suspecting, obviously, some live rounds. The FBI has now joined that investigation. We're hearing reports that they're going to be examining the bullet that was fired and that killed Halyna Hutchins. In the meantime, the DA is openly saying that they don't know how long this investigation is going to take, but they're not ruling anything out.